Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really get into complex topics, sift through all the material, articles, notes, research, just to find those key bits of knowledge for you. And today we're doing a deep dive into something, well, it's incredibly powerful, but often kind of overlooked. We're talking about the profound impact of gratitude.
Exactly. And our mission, really, is to give you, our listener, a shortcut, a way to understand how acknowledging gratitude can genuinely transform your life. We're going to unpack the surprising science behind it, share some really compelling personal stories, and lay out practical steps, all about cultivating happiness by expressing thanks. And we're drawing this from a whole load of source material put together just for this deep dive. So whether you feel like you're drowning in information or maybe just looking for those aha moments, well, this one's for you.
Right. Let's unpack this then. Our starting point is a very personal story, one that I think many might find relatable. It's about the author's Golden Jubilee year, her 50th birthday. It was supposed to be, a big celebration, but it turned into an incredibly tough time. Just imagine dealing with losing your father, that profound grief. And then on top of that, your mother's dementia is getting worse, the demands are escalating, plus your oldest daughter is heading off to college like 3,000 miles away. A huge adjustment. As she put it herself, it was not quite the party I had expected.
And that experience, it really taps into something broader, doesn't it? This pattern. There's research by labor economists, David Blanchflower and Andrew Oswald, on the happiness U-curve. It basically shows that psychological well-being often hits, its lowest point in middle age. This is seen across loads of countries, actually.
Yeah.
Then it tends to climb again.
Right.
So the author's personal low point, while obviously intensely difficult for her, it kind of fits this shared human experience, that dip that, many of us might recognize or even anticipate.
And that's where it gets really fascinating, because right in the middle of all that difficulty, almost by accident, without really setting out to, she found that writing gratitude letters started bringing these doses, large and small, of just feeling better.
Like little lifts.
Exactly. It wasn't planned, but it became this coping mechanism, a surprising source of well-being when things were incredibly tough. It really sets the stage for how powerful this seemingly simple act can be.
Yeah, and what's so compelling is how her personal breakthrough lines up so well with the actual science. There's research, I think it was published in 2015 in Frontiers in Psychology. It shows that practicing gratitude regularly, like an ongoing thing, it literally rewires our brains.
Rewires them.
Well, it sort of rewards us for noticing and having positive perceptions, which then encourages more gratitude. It creates this loop. And it fosters what the social psychologist Jonathan Haidt called elevation way back in 2000.
Elevation. What did he mean by that?
He described it as that, warm or glowing feeling in the chest that kind of makes people actually want to become morally better themselves. It's a pretty powerful internal feedback system.
So, okay, it's not just a nice feeling. It's actually doing something physiologically. Dr. Christine Carter, she's a sociologist at UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center, RACE. She talks about this. She says negative emotions, fear, anger, they trigger fight or flight. We know that heart rate up, muscles tense. But positive emotions like gratitude, she says, they reset the nervous system. What does that mean in practice? How does it actually, manifest in our bodies?
That's a great question. When our nervous system gets that reset, it basically helps us relax. We feel safer, more connected. It shifts us out of that constant high alert state. And the benefits, honestly, they're pretty profound. Dr. Carter puts it very bluntly. She says, if you could sell gratitude as a pill, you'd be very wealthy.
I bet.
Because the research, sociologists have found tons of physical health benefits. Things like better sleep, more energy, even improved asthma control in some studies. But here's the kicker, the paradox.
Yeah.
It seems almost, the author uses the word criminal, that people who are practically soaking in reasons to be grateful often just forget. They don't take stock. They don't express thanks.
Right. We wait.
We often wait until some kind of trauma or crisis hits before we actually start actively practicing gratitude. It's strange, isn't it?
It really is the ultimate paradox. Why do we wait? But, okay, it goes beyond just our own individual health, doesn't it? Dr. Carter's research also points to something else, like when you acknowledge that someone else incurred a cost for you, did something that took effort or sacrifice.
Yes.
That act of acknowledgement dramatically boosts your own sense of self-worth and generosity, and apparently without making you feel like you owe them.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Your brain kind of goes, someone did something significant for me. I must be worth that effort.
Yeah.
It's subtle but powerful. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, Many of us, it seems, we tend to miscalculate the positive impact of social connections.
We underestimate it.
Yeah, we underestimate how much good it does, both for the other person and for ourselves.
Yeah.
And this underestimation, it can actually stop people from being pro-social enough for their own well-being.
Mm.
It reminds me of that old quote from Lady Mary Wortley Montagu: "Civility costs nothing and it buys everything."
Huh. Yeah.
Maybe gratitude doesn't buy everything, but it certainly seems to buy more connection and well-being than most of us realize.
And it's not just about receiving, right? It actively trains your mind. You mentioned this positive recall bias.
Mm-hmm. It helps you dwell more easily on positive things. Your mind gets better at recalling them. Dr. Kristen Leyes, she researches happiness. She notes that gratitude doesn't just make relationships feel better. It actually leads to more relationship-promoting behaviors, which then feeds back into this positive loop. You know, our brains are kind of wired to scan for threats, for negatives. It's survival.
Sure.
So this is about actively retraining ourselves to notice the good stuff, appreciate it, and let it have a bigger impact on our mood and how we treat others.
Okay, and there's this existential angle too. Clay Routledge, a behavioral scientist.
Right. In a 2018 essay, he talked about rising suicide rates and emphasized that our close relationships, they are our greatest existential resource. Feeling valued in those relationships, that's what keeps us feeling grounded, connected, and moving away from despair. So things like gratitude letters, they're a really concrete way to show someone just how much value they bring. You're essentially strengthening that vital resource for both of you.
Okay, so the science is compelling, the personal benefits are clear. How do you actually start something like this? A thank you project. The author shares this really funny story, this Jose mantra. Her husband, Andrew, was at a deli, and the worker just barked at him. "It's not always all about you, Jose."
Huh.
And that became their shorthand. The point is, nobody else is keeping score. No one's tracking your progress but you. The project is one size fits all precisely because you are the only one taking the measurements. It's not a race. It's not about hitting 10 letters for sobriety or 73 because it's a prime number, like the author joked. It's entirely personal. Your goal, your pace.
That first step, it sounds almost too simple, just identifying who you want to thank, making the list. But here's what the author calls the amazing secret, a real light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to write a single word, not one letter, to start feeling some benefits. Just looking at that list of names, your home team, your ride or dies, as she calls them, that act alone, is surprisingly reassuring.
Really? Just making the list.
Yeah. It immediately boosts your self-worth. It goes back to what Dr. Carter found, acknowledging that costs someone incurred for you makes you subconsciously accept you must be worth it. Just identifying them starts that process.
That's incredible. Okay, so what questions should you ask yourself to get that list started?
The core ones are pretty straightforward. Who has helped me? Who has shaped me? Who has inspired me? And maybe add, would I be the person I am today without them, without this experience? And importantly, don't limit it just to people you know personally. The author realized she felt deep gratitude for things, like certain live concerts or cities she'd lived in, even authors whose books felt like old friends.
So it can be places, experiences, art.
Absolutely. Anything that's profoundly shaped you is fair game for gratitude.
Got it. Okay, so you have your list or you're starting it. What about actually doing the writing? Lillian Hellman said, things start as hopes and end up as habits. How do you turn this hope into a habit?
That's key. You need to set your own rules. Make it manageable. Think about format, length, pace. For format, it's completely up to you. The author admits her handwriting looks like a 4-year-old wigged out on too much coffee, so she typed hers.
Huh. I can relate.
But her friend Maria has this gorgeous calligraphic handwriting and loved handwriting them. We even heard about Kathy Valentine, you know, from the Go-Go's. For her 50th birthday dinner, she gave each guest a customized typed letter, said it made the whole night spectacular. The point is, find what feels right and, crucially, sustainable for you. Typed, handwritten, carrier pigeon, whatever works.
Okay, and length. Does it need to be an epic novel?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
The author's advice is simple. Good enough is good enough. Her personal target was about 1 full typed page, single-spaced.
Yeah.
But she also points out that sometimes writing shorter is actually harder.
True.
The goal is just something achievable, something you can replicate without feeling overwhelmed. Remember, you're the CEO of this project.
Right. And pace.
Again, CEO rules. You only write 1 letter at a time. It's totally okay to write one, then stop for a while, then come back to it weeks or months later. The letters aren't going anywhere. The self-compassion, setting your own rhythm, that's vital if you want this to stick.
Okay, makes sense. Now, the big question. What do you actually write? This feels like the hard part.
The author calls her method the see, say, savor approach. It's about really identifying the specific, precise ways people or places or things have impacted you. The process of just, noodling over the person, thinking about them deeply, that becomes a kind of meditation of gratitude in itself.
So it's more than just, hey, remember that one time?
Yeah, anecdotes are great. They bring it to life. But it's about digging a bit deeper. What was the impact of that time? What did it teach you? How did it make you feel? How did it change things?
Okay, and this is where that positive recall bias you mentioned comes in again.
Exactly. By actively searching for and articulating these positive impacts, you're strengthening those neural pathways. You're training your brain to notice and appreciate the good. Dr. Lays explained, negative stuff grabs our attention for survival, but consciously appreciating the positive helps us retrain our minds to amplify the good feelings, creating that upward spiral.
Does the author offer any kind of template or structure?
She does share her personal approach, which is helpful. She often starts with how we met, reflecting on the initial spark. Like, she remembers just passing her friend Tiffany in a hallway, and they silently pointed at each other's shoes in mutual appreciation. Or meeting her future father-in-law while he was busy cooking fried rice. It grounds the letter in the beginning of the connection.
I like that, starting at the start.
Yeah. And then the main part, the body paragraphs, that's where you fill the page with the most important aspects of appreciation, using those specific details and memories you've savored during your reflection.
Okay, let's maybe walk through some examples. How does this see, say, savor thing work with different kinds of relationships? Like parents, those relationships can be complicated.
For sure, but incredibly foundational. The author reflected on her father's presence, just him being there, popping flies for softball practice, combing her hair. That time he drove hours to Syracuse to rescue her when her car broke down. But she also found gratitude in his hands-off parenting style, letting her make smaller mistakes and figure things out herself, which she felt prepared her for bigger challenges later.
Interesting.
And his superpower in a crisis, like calmly duct taping her exploding duffel bag at JFK Airport. Little moments, big impact. And maybe most surprisingly, she thanked him for refusing to lend them money for a house down payment. He told them, "You'll feel better about yourself someday if you've done it all for yourself." Seeing the long-term wisdom, even if it was tough at the time.
Wow, okay. That's finding gratitude in unexpected corners. What about siblings? Another potentially complex zone.
Definitely. The author actually apologized to her brother Larry in her letter for locking him in the basement once. Childhood stuff.
Huh. Good call.
But she also genuinely admired her sister Sally, saying Sally set this amazing parenting standard, lots of affection and support tempered with judicious, benign neglect, which resulted in Sally raising 3 funny, kind, and capable people. It shows how siblings, even if the relationship has bumps, can give you validation of your strength, or maybe even the incentive to create a chosen family, if your original one wasn't what you needed.
And grandparents, that connection to the past.
Yeah, they offer something unique. The author's friend Melissa wrote letters to her grandparents who were long gone. She said it brought back these incredibly vivid, cherished memories she hadn't thought about in years. The author herself recalled her Grandma Davis's voluminous, warm letters from Germany and her Grandpa Davis's slightly quirky lectures on the virtues of bananas. These little threads connect us across generations.
Okay, now, maybe the toughest one for many. Expressing deep gratitude to a spouse or a long-term partner. The author realized she hadn't really written anything substantial to her husband Andrew in almost 20 years, despite being married for 24. And there's that research point people letting waiters more often than spouses, 58% versus 49%. What's going on there?
I think it's exactly because the relationship is so constant, so intimate. We take things for granted, assume gratitude is implied. But the source material really emphasizes that acknowledging the little things, the daily stuff, that's where huge relationship growth can happen, often more than grand gestures. The author's letter to Andrew, even with its inside jokes about a Scandinavian's Facebook group, clearly meant a lot. She said it lifted a weight. It shows how gratitude, even for mundane things, turns ordinary moments into opportunities for relationship growth.
Makes sense, taking the implicit and making it explicit. What about children? Can we feel gratitude towards them?
Oh, absolutely. The author found them a huge source of inspiration. She admired her daughter Lucy's sheer persistence, her creativity, that try and try again spirit with tough stuff, and her older daughter Maddie's self-confidence and how she stayed true to her values that actually taught the author about sticking to her own guns. Children can absolutely be teachers and inspirations.
Okay. What about family beyond the nuclear unit, extended family?
Hugely important, and often, as the author says, a vastly underrated job, especially aunts and uncles. Her Aunt Noonie sounded amazing, a near-cult figure to her friends, always showing up with love, pool days, even doing astrological charts for the kids and signing off letters with Sasquatch.
Ah, squad?
Yeah, quirky, memorable, constant. And her Uncle Ray provided that calm, practical knowledge after her dad died, which was hugely reassuring. Cousins, too, they reinforce those family bonds, keep shared histories alive, and even in-laws, which can be tricky territory for some. The focus is on the small, specific gifts, like Andrew's family just being friendly and kind the night she met them, which closed the sale on the relationship for her, or her sister-in-law Suzanne comforting her daughter Lucy after her grandfather's death. Small acts, big comfort.
Right. And outside of family friends, these seem crucial.
Totally crucial. The source material calls it a profound power boost. It references James Cone's experiment, remember the electric shock one?
Vaguely.
Holding a close friend's hand literally reduced the brain's fear response during a stressful situation. It's physiological. It shows how deeply wired we are for that connection. So expressing gratitude to friends, it's like ensuring you always have that metaphorical hand to hold. It strengthens those vital bonds. The author breaks friends down into categories, which is interesting. Like best friends, the ones who see your weird bump and love you anyway. Childhood friends who shaped you early on, and maybe remember your parents in ways others can't, like her friend Kitty with her unprintable stories about the author's dad. And hang in there, friends, those adult friendships that take real effort to maintain, but become so valuable. Like the moms doing Heismans to avoid each other at kindergarten drop-off, but who eventually connect. Even online friends like her Tiny Texters group can provide real, tangible support IRL in real life.
It's a good reminder of the different roles friends play. What about less positive relationships? Past friends, exes, maybe even good riddances. Is there value there?
Surprisingly, yes. The author found real lessons even in difficult endings. A college friend with a maddening sense of entitlement taught her not to waste precious time on people who don't like me. Lousy bosses. Sometimes they push you towards your true calling just because you need to escape them. Even a meaningful ex, like her German boyfriend who helped her navigate a new country during reunification, taught her so much. The key isn't dwelling on the pain, but asking, what did I learn? What clarity came from that, even if it was hard-won?
Finding the lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. What about people who play specific roles? Teachers.
Often unsung heroes, right?
Yeah.
The author credits Mrs. Green, her high school AP English teacher, for giving her a solid foundation in writing. Even she did give a slightly infamous orgasm lecture.
Ah, memorable, I guess.
Definitely. And her friend Melissa wrote to her late German teacher's daughter to express thanks for her mom's impact. It shows how lasting that influence can be.
And medical professionals. People we rely on in vulnerable times.
Huge potential for gratitude there. The author wrote to her OB, Dr. Lori Green, who delivered both her daughters. Dr. Green actually wrote back personally, saying how rare such letters were. And the nurses at Children's Hospital, they were completely gobsmacked, just astonished to receive a thank you cake after her daughter recovered. It really highlights how much patient gratitude can mean, especially in fighting burnout in those demanding jobs.
Wow, you really don't think about that side of it. Okay, workplace gratitude. Colleagues, bosses.
Yeah, often overlooked. The author contrasts the awful image of caged typists needing muffins passed through chicken wire with positive examples, like Charles Jack Price, the hospital administrator at Parkland Memorial after JFK was assassinated. He wrote this incredibly powerful memo thanking his staff for their extraordinary efforts under immense pressure. Her brother Larry gives scratch-off lottery tickets to his travel teams as a thank you. Simple, but appreciated. Wall Street pioneer Margot Alexander said her greatest accomplishment wasn't financial, but her personal engagement with employees. And the author thanked her former boss, Brenda, for clear communication, flexibility, and especially for giving her a heads up about layoffs when she was 9 months pregnant. That's real care. And as you said, even thanking lousy bosses for inadvertently pushing you toward something better counts.
Okay. And lastly in this category, people who inspire us but maybe aren't in our immediate circle.
Right. Think ministers, like Father Scott at her church, whose humor and social justice work deepened her faith. Authors Jane Austen, for providing sheer pleasure year after year. Musicians' Crowded House inspired her to take a trip to New Zealand. Babysitters like Hell, who made a huge difference for her as a working mom. Even the everyday helpers, hairdressers, dry cleaners, mechanics who just make life run smoother. They all contribute.
It's such a wide net when you really start thinking about it. And this deep dive shows gratitude isn't just for people, right? It extends to places and passions.
Absolutely. That was a big realization for the author. She wrote a letter to her hometown, Rochester, New York, a place she couldn't wait to leave as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, she appreciated the predictable, secure, normal childhood it gave her, how it shaped her down-to-earth nature. And she admired its tenaciousness after Kodak, its main employer, declined. She saw resilience there.
Finding gratitude for roots. What about special places?
Oh, yeah. Like Camp Gorham, this family camp in the Adirondacks. She called it a favorite place in the world, central to my life, her family's special sauce. It was about the beauty, yes, but also physical challenges, family bonding, giving her kids that sense of childhood freedom that's maybe harder to find now. Places like that become part of who we are.
And schools. Alma maters.
Definitely. For her, Thunderbird, her graduate school, was where she found her tribe, met her husband Andrew, and really embraced that global citizen mindset. It shaped her worldview, her connections.
What about where you live now, your current city?
Yeah, she wrote to Oakland, said living there made her feel hip, appreciated its diversity, activism, its cultural energy, even its edginess. It became part of her identity.
And finally, hobbies and interests. How do they fit in?
They hugely contribute to the person we are. For the author, live music wasn't just entertainment. It was a way to reconnect with my youth while appreciating the present. Writing itself became this steadying force during really hard times, her dad's death, her mom's dementia diagnosis, and she expressed gratitude for her supportive writing community and, importantly, for her readers. Our passions shape us and connect us.
So, woven through all of this, thanking people, places, passions, there seems to be an underlying theme about vulnerability, about needing others.
That's a crucial point. To really embrace gratitude, especially receiving it, you often have to admit you needed help in the first place. And our society, well, it tends to reward strength, self-sufficiency. We celebrate Independence Day, right? But the author argues maybe what we really need, especially now, is an Interdependence Day, a day to acknowledge how much we actually rely on each other.
An Interdependence Day, I like that. But admitting need can be hard, maybe for some more than others.
It seems so. There was a 2012 John Templeton Foundation study suggesting women might express gratitude more regularly. And an older study from 1988 found some American men actually found expressing thanks humiliating, something to hide. Yet the research consistently shows that people of all genders who do practice gratitude report feeling happier. So if it feels difficult, how do you push past that?
Yeah, what's the mindset shift needed?
Well, as you're reflecting, writing these letters, memories surface. Some might involve times you felt weak or needed help. You have a choice then. You go the self-critical route. What the hell is wrong with you? Why were you so needy? The author admits feeling this, remembering being lost and crying alone on a sidewalk in Munich, feeling totally vulnerable. Or you can choose self-compassion. You can look back and think, look at you, recognizing when you needed help. You were smart enough and humble enough to receive it. That's strength too.
Reframing vulnerability.
Exactly. This transformative power of acknowledgement means even tough relationships or difficult memories, seen through a gratitude lens, can offer insights. Maybe you developed early self-sufficiency because you had to, or maybe a bad experience gave you the incentive to create a chosen family filled with love. It's about seeing the growth, the learning, the connection, even in the hard stuff. Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today, from really deep personal challenges to the actual science of brain chemistry, from the practicalities of the Jose mantra, remember, it's your project, your pace, all the way through thanking people, places, passions. It's quite a journey. The scientific backing seems really solid, the stories are powerful, and the steps to actually do this feel, well, achievable for anyone listening. And it's worth remembering, writing these letters, even if you never send them, it does something powerful internally. It's about actively training your mind, like we discussed, focusing on the positive, strengthening those relationship bonds, deepening your own sense of worth, and just feeling more connected. We really hope you consider starting your own project. No pressure, just, at your own pace.
So here's something to maybe leave you with, a final thought to mull over. Considering how often we seem to underestimate the positive impact our thanks has on others, and how much even an unexpressed letter can change our own perspective, what hidden value might you be overlooking in your own daily life right now, just by not acknowledging all those small acts of kindness, those influences all around you? And maybe ask yourself, what might change if you started to really see, say, and savor them, maybe starting today?